Sigh. Well, we fixed the timeline, minus a few changes that stuck around, but we never figured out why it happened. And if we don't figure out the why, it could happen again. It could even be worse next time. 3 chapters could be out of order, or even a whole volume. Like, we could even get girlfriend introductions in the wrong order. Wait, he actually put out a tweet? Okay, hold on. So, turns out the switch around for the chapters was due to them wanting to redo Kogoe's Meet the Family chapter because it seemed rather insensitive given the catastrophic blizzard a lot of Japan has been affected by recently. And given Kogoe's character and cold, it's not hard to imagine something cold and snow related was in that story. Nakamura and Nozawa even say they are happier with this newer story idea than the original. So things kind of worked out for the better, and I agree. I enjoyed the Hot Pot chapter quite a lot. Like I said in my review of the chapter, it was nice to kind of return to basics with the family just gathering around a large table to share a meal. Not to mention the good showing for Nurse Chiyo in that chapter as well. Who knows if something like that was even in the original story. But even after all of this, I still have one question lingering about. What on earth was that leaked design all about? Knowing that they actively went back to redo a chapter, my best guess is that the leaked intro panels for Kogoe's intro chapter were her initial design, but a few chapters later probably passed, and later Nakamura and Nozawa decided that this original design wasn't working for them, and went back to the drawing board and came out with the Kogoe we know now. So yeah, those two have been busy, not only with their regular work schedule to work on new chapters, but then most likely going back to the drawing board with Kogoe's design, changing it in the intro chapter, and then also redoing the entirety of her Meet the Family chapter. I can't imagine the stress those two were under. The 2-week break was definitely needed to patch everything up. This goes to show just how dedicated these two are to the series by realizing that they weren't satisfied with the girlfriend design and sacrificed time and energy into getting to something that they were happy with, instead of just saying, it's only one girlfriend, we have 64 more to go, who cares if one bad design slips through. As much as we love to harp on these two for their weird decisions regarding the series, we can never say that they don't care because they clearly do. A lot. For each girlfriend. Even 7 years and 36 girlfriends into the series later. Anyway, that went on a lot longer than I thought. I'm Moonlight150, and this is my overview of the latest 100 Girlfriends manga chapter, chapter 243, Spinning a Yarn, Carving a Tale. Make sure to show your support for the new and improved Scanlation group Sunday for bringing us these chapters to enjoy by checking out the chapters where they post them. But also be sure to support the official release of the series in your region to support the creators, because we've got even more proof now that they deserve it. Now, onto the chapter itself. As the pattern dictates, even if we ventured off course for a moment, it's time for Kogoe's focus chapter, and we open with Kogoe and Meme heading home from school as they have become fast friends since they have a similar road home. Which makes me wonder, this whole time 36 girlfriends in the group so far and Meme being number 11 of that group and is just now finding a fellow girlfriend with a similar path home? Does she live on the outskirts of this small town? On the walk back, Meme being the knitter that she is can't help but compliment Kogoe on the scarf she is always wearing, and Kogoe talks about how she's had it since she was little, and how it's one of a kind as she hasn't found any others with a similar design. But being the malevolent and capricious god that Nakamura is, he decides this chapter needs conflict and summons a totally normal occurring inside the city tornado. A special tornado that specifically targets scarves apparently, as that was the only casualty of this event, leaving Kogoe's beanie untouched. Which leaves Kogoe distraught due to the aforementioned backstory that she gave regarding her favorite scarf. The following day, Meme is picking up Kogoe to go to school, who is now sporting the latest fashion trend of aluminum foil wrapped around her neck to keep warm. Honestly, not the weirdest fashion statement I've seen. But it's Meme to the rescue as she presents Kogoe with a new scarf that she knitted overnight. Really? A whole scarf? Just overnight? Like, the narrator box here is actually working for me for once by specifically saying it's the following day. And we're supposed to believe that she knitted a whole scarf in one night, and it was ready the following morning? Think there might be more shenanigans here than the inner city tornado. How long does it take to knit a scarf? Oh, only about 4 to 6 hours for experienced knitters. Which, I think given how much we've seen her knit, maybe could be considered an experienced knitter. Okay, learn something new every day. Kogoe then spends the day enjoying her new scarf, as by her own words, it's warmer than her older one. And why is it warmer than her older one? Well, because... That's the power of love. Actually, they don't explain it. probably just thicker yarn or something. Wanting to repay Meimei for her kindness, she overhears how Meimei is in need for some new knitting needles, so she sets out to do just that. But the feeling of guilt gets heavier as she feels just buying some new ones to repay for a handmade gift feels kind of wrong. And just as she was doubting herself, the god himself Nakamura shined down on Kogoe and showed her that the handicraft store offers a DIY class on making knitting needles. How convenient. Well, can't linger on that too long, time for a training montage. After all of that, and however many days it was, no, I'm not currently counting right now, Kogoe is ready to present Meimei the gift, even though she was late to coming to school that day from being so cold from her training montage, and also apparently rushed to school as she forgot her leggings in this panel, though her timidness takes over, stopping her from giving Meimei the gift, and even overhears how Meimei went and bought new knitting needles already, making Kogoe give up on the whole endeavor. So much so that Nozawa had to cut Kogoe's head off apparently between these two panels. Now knowing new knitting needles aren't the best gift, on their way home Kogoe asked Meimei if there was anything else she wanted, but as it turns out that purchase of new needles was more of just a necessity and aren't the kind that she usually likes to get or is used to, and wish she had a wooden pair just like before. Well, thankfully that's exactly what Kogoe asks for as she finally presents the handmade gift. And turns out that Meimei even seems to like them even better than her original pair of needles. And guess when something is made with the product is just better. And Meimei is so excited and goes and grabs Kogoe's hands to thank her, but realizes how awkward that might be. But Kogoe doesn't mind because she is an actual lizard person with cold blood and welcomes any form of body heat. And with that, a new friendship within the family is formed. Kind of like how Kogoe's Meet the Family chapter was a nice return to basics with dinner, Kogoe's Focus chapter was also kind of a nice to return to simplicity, whereas Nurse Chiyo kind of had to share the spotlight with more Saki backstory, and Eru shared the spotlight with Chiyo and Matsuri in their sleepover, and it kind of became a pseudo-Chiyo Focus chapter. Here, Meimei doesn't really overshadow Kogoe at all in her Focus chapter. Meimei is just the plot device to show as Kogoe as a character. How she's very kind and shy and thinks about things regarding others like paying one back after they do something for you, especially trying to match the gesture with one of equal size. As we saw with Kogoe thinking that just buying knitting needles wasn't good enough as Meimei handmade the scarf. Not to mention Kogoe getting out of her comfort zone to repay Meimei by enduring this grueling training camp disguised as a DIY workshop, in the snow no less. It is still spring, right? Snow here. These girls went up in the snowy mountains to make these damn knitting needles. Then we got the relatability of her being nervous of presenting the gift to Meimei, trying to find the right time to, but never finding it while on the rooftop, as Meimei was constantly busy engaging with others. This kind of shows Kogoe still being new and awkward around everyone, kind of an interesting mirror to Meimei herself, who outright tried to hide during her initial introduction to the family. Speaking of Meimei, though she didn't steal the spotlight from Kogoe in this chapter, it is nice to see that character progression that she has made that we first noticed back in chapter 193, where we noticed Meimei has gotten rusty with her misdirection because she doesn't use it often anymore. Past Meimei would have disappeared after the whole hand-grabbing scenario with Kogoe, and it is a cute parallel to how she hugged Kurumi back in chapter 193 like I mentioned. Guess once Meimei gets over her shyness, she's a grabber and hugger now. Well, we can only hope Kogoe goes on a similar arc as she gets more comfortable within the family. But that'll do it for this short and sweet chapter review. It felt kind of nice to have one so simple. Next time we're tackling a kindergarten in despair. God, what did Meru do this time? Guess we'll just have to find out next week. I've been Moonlight150, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we have been inching closer and closer to the 3,000 subscriber mark. I'd love to hit that by the time Season 3 premieres later this year. And I will see you all on the next video. I swear I've said the word knitting needles more in this video than I have in my entire life.